Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is Thom Jennings, music writer for the Niagara Gazette and the Lockport Union Sun and Journal. This is Tuning In with Thom. I appreciate everybody that's subscribed so far, and I appreciate all the kind words. And as always, please share. Please consider subscribing, liking these videos, whatever we need to do to continue to grow this program. Over the next few weeks, I'll try to get some guests on here. I've been trying to line some of those up. This Friday, I'll be speaking with, on the phone, Kazim Sultan from Kazim Sultan's Utopia. They're going to be coming to the Tralf in March. And I spoke to this past Sunday, set up an interview with Eric Johnson, the guitarist. Anybody that knows Eric Johnson, Avia Musicom, amazing album. This tour, he's just doing a big greatest hits thing, and he'll be at the Tralf as well. So looking forward to both of those shows. You can keep an eye on my column in the Gazette. You'll be seeing those interviews posted at some point. But this week, big news in the Niagara region in terms of concerts. Artpark announced another one. My weekly column is talking about the Brothers Osborne. Now, for the Tuesdays in the Park series, they, as it was mentioned in the column, they really don't book a lot of country acts. In fact, this is the first traditional, or I shouldn't say traditional country, but first major country act in quite some time. The last time a country performer headline there was Sarah Evans, and that was over 10 years ago, and Trisha Yearwood was a little bit before that. So for Tuesday evenings, they've avoided these country acts. They've had, southern rock bands like Leonard Skinner that have done well, but for the Brothers Osborne, this is kind of new. They've sort of had the classic rock. Last year they had Thievery Corporation, which is like an EDM jam band. We haven't seen any hip hop. I don't know that we'll be seeing any of that in the Tuesday series anytime soon, unless it's maybe somebody like maybe an MC Hammer or Run DMC, but I don't know if they're considered hip hop anyway. But anyhow, Brothers Osborne, newer act, came out in 2000. Off the top of my head, I want to say that their first album was less than 10 years ago. They've had a couple of radio hits. I think it's going to be a great show, but the importance of this one is, if this show works and you are a fan of country music, tell your country music friends to come out and support this show, because I would imagine if the crowd turns out to be a good crowd in terms of size and behavior and maybe buying habits of concessions and things like that, we'll probably be able to see more of the country acts. Over at Seneca Niagara, they do some outdoor shows, and I have to confess, I haven't seen any of the big outdoor shows yet, but the one that they have coming this summer is a pretty cool one. You had Sammy Hagar, Whitesnake, and Night Ranger. Now, Sammy Hagar and Whitesnake, they've both been headliners at Artpark, and over the years, Whitesnake performed there once. Sammy Hagar has been there twice. These package shows, I think we're going to start seeing these kind of groups booked together, and you're going to start seeing them at places like Darien Lake and Seneca Niagara. So that, again, directly impacts what kind of shows we're going to be seeing at Artpark this summer. I'm always excited to see the lineup evolve. I'm very excited about this Brothers Osborne show. But enough about that. What I've been trying to do every week is kind of talk about an album and bring something up. So this week I just sort of was perusing through my collection. I found this baby, and this is Beatles Sgt. Pepper. Now, this one's kind of special to me because when I was a kid, my father took me to see the Sgt. Pepper movie with Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees, and I really loved that movie. And in the movie, they had a record album being made, and it was pretty much shamelessly promoted that they were producing this record, and they were encouraging people to buy it. My father said to me, if you're going to get a Sgt. Pepper, you're going to get the Beatles version of Sgt. Pepper. And so I did. So this is one of the very first albums that I ever owned. I really love it, and there's one song on here. There's a George Harrison song, With and Without You, the first song on side 2, that's a little bit long. But I remember when John Lennon passed away, and this will be the 40th anniversary of Lennon's passing, Day in the Life was one of those songs that a lot of us listened to kind of get through the grief of a musician passing. And again, with this one, there was a whole bunch of those little clues and everything that had to do with the conspiracy theory of Paul passing away, but we're gonna skip over all that kind of stuff. And as I said, I think it's nice because all these Beatles albums have come out, they've reissued them. So even though this album originally came out in the late '60s, it's pristine, it's new. I've been able to. There's a new record store, by the way, in the Buffalo area called Hi-Fi Hits. You want to check that out. I've picked up some records there over the last few months. But as I said, this record will always maintain a very special place in my heart. And finally, one of the other reasons I think of it is because I was at a Grateful Dead show in Rochester, New York, I don't know, must have been in my early 20s or everything. It was the last time that I saw Jerry Garcia perform before he passed away. And over the sound system, they played the full Paul Simon's Graceland and the full Sgt. Pepper album, which I thought was cool. So oftentimes I think of the Grateful Dead when I think of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper. Anyhow, you got any special albums, you got any special memories or any of that stuff, please let me know. Thanks so much for tuning in. Special thanks to my executive producer and wife and camera person, Ms. Tracy Jennings. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in with Thom.